Shalom, shalom, shalom. This is Brother Ezekiel from WFI Detroit camp. I want to give all honor and glory and praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Yahweh being the name of the Most High God. Yahweh Shai being the name of his only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Shalom to the 12 tribes that are scattered abroad. Greetings. Um, this topic today, I want to go over the purpose of your patience. Not really a long video, just a few precepts to meditate on. Something I've been meditating on myself in regards to this truth and how much and how integral patience really is in your everyday walk. Because, you can't go through this life without patience. As a matter of fact, patience, you can't have faith without patience. You can't, as a matter of fact, you know what, let me get into it because I had a flow for this lesson. So Lord willing, let me set this up real quick. You can't have faith without patience. And the more patience you have, the more you're going to be able to endure, the more you're going to be able to overcome, the more you're going to be able to fight through certain things that you're dealing with in any adversity, any form of fashion, right? Let me share my screen with you guys so I can get this done. Right? Let's get into it. So let's go to patience. Make sure. Patience, right? The capacity to accept, tolerate delay, trouble, or suffering without getting angry or upset. And that's something that we have to do each and every day, dealing with the flesh, dealing with diverse temptations, whether, from certain spirits, from certain lusts, particular demons that brothers and sisters might be battling with. And at the end of the day, you got to have patience, right? It says the capacity, meaning, there's certain levels of capacities that people have. Some people have a little bit of patience, some people have a lot of patience. But the purpose of it is that you continue to endure, continue to overcome, and make your body a living sacrifice. So actually, let me start at where I wanted to. It's the book of Sirach, chapter 2, right? And verse 1. It says that thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. And that's what you got to continue to do each and every single day. And it takes patience to do that. But there's a purpose of it in the end, right? Reading on. Verse 2, set thy heart aright and constantly endure and make not haste in the time of trouble. You got to constantly set your mind right. You got to constantly have that discipline. You got to constantly have a particular focus. And it takes patience to reach these things, to amount to these things each and every day. Because, you may not be always motivated to do so, but you know what? You got to be disciplined, right? And it takes a patience to get your certain mind, keep your flesh under subjection, and get your, get in the right spirit each and every day and constantly endure and make not haste in the time of trouble. Meaning when you're going through certain things, don't just, you in the fire, but I don't want to deal with it anymore. I can't take this anymore. Or why me? That why me spirit. Why am I going through it? What did I do? Just at the end of the day, humble yourself, and have faith, because truly that is your patience. Right? Verse 3, cleave unto him. Cleave unto who? Cleave unto the Most High. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. And depart not away, and that thou mayest be increased at thy last end. And don't you always want to be increased? You want to be more increased to more faith and more fear, and and more wisdom and more knowledge and understanding, and of course, and have more mercy, of course, that you may continue to serve the Most High in sincerity and the truth, right? Verse 4, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, meaning that, it's not always easy going through particular trials and situations, but, the scripture saying that whatever you're going through, you got to take cheerfully and be patient. That's the most important thing. Be patient when thou art changed to a lower state. There are many times, me speaking as a man for a quick sake, when I've gone through certain things, but I had to be patient, and it's tough because you gotta work to get yourself back to a certain state. You gotta work to put yourself back in a particular discipline, to stay on a certain regimen and schedule, right? That you can elevate yourself back to where the Most High wants you to be. But once again, the most important part is your patience. And it takes time to, to build that up. Nevertheless, you got to do so. And why is that? Verse 5 says, for gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. And the Most High has chosen you in this thing. He has called you in this thing because you were that gold. You were that gold. And he's trying you in that fire, and you're acceptable. But when you're continuing to have patience through that, guess what? It says that you're being tried in the fire and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. And the Most High has chosen you to do those things because there's something within you that He sees that what He can bring up out of you, but you got to refine yourself, right? You got to renew your mind. You got to die daily. You got to make your body a living sacrifice, and to do so, it takes patience. And a lot of people, they don't do that when it comes to the Most High, and this walking this truth. But nevertheless, there's a purpose to it, right? Let's go to it. Sirach chapter 20 and verse number 32. And this is, whether you low in the spirit, whether you on fire, it doesn't matter. Let's see what the precept says, right? This is Sirach chapter 20 and verse 32. It says, necessary patience is seeking the Lord is better than he that leadeth his life without a guide. Because a lot of people, they go through this life, they thinking they can find their own answers. They thinking they can do things on their own. They thinking, well, I've been on this earth a certain amount of years, so you can't tell me nothing. Who are you to speak to me? It's a lot of pride that's going on in the world, and that's why a lot of these people out here is going to be destroyed. But for us who are willing to humble down, who are willing, to do what the scripture says, and who are willing to follow Yahweh Bashim Yahushai and follow the Lamb, like whether he goes, like it says in Revelation in 19th chapter, it says necessary patience in seeking the Lord, that he that liveth his life without a guide. You gotta, like it tells you in Sirach chapter 51 and verse 30, you gotta work your work at times in these things. And there's a purpose to it, that you can overcome, that you can reach to the next level, that you can reach new heights, right? So you can wake up more people, more of the Lord's sheep in this thing, right? But you got to have that patience. So let's go to an account real quick. Let's go to, I know where I'm going to go. Let's go to the book of Hebrews chapter 11, starting at verse 24. It says, by faith, Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter. And that's spiritual, because that's how, most of us was waking up in this thing. When we came to a certain time, we don't call ourselves black anymore. Or we're not calling ourselves an American anymore. We're not calling ourselves African American. We believe that we are Israelite, Hebrew Israelites, according to the 12 tribes of Jacob, Yasher Allah, right? Reading on. Verse 25, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. So, Moses chose rather to be patient and suffer with the chosen people of God, meaning abstain from the evilness, from the lewdness, from the perverse and profaneness of this world, than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. Moses, he chose rather to be patient, right? And that's what we must do in this walk. And then, that's spiritual because, a lot of people, like it tells you in Ecclesiastes 8 and 11, because judgment is not executed speedily. Therefore, the hearts of the sons of men is fully set to do evil, right? So it says, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God, rather to people of God than to enjoy the pleasure of sin for a season. Verse 26, esteeming the reproach of Hamashiach or Yahushai greater riches than the treasures in Egypt. They have respect into the recompense of the reward. And that's how we got to be in this thing, right? Because at the end of the day, all our faith and all of our works is that, Yahushua may put those crowns upon our heads, that we may be chosen. We may have that in the immortality, the spiritual bodies, the kingdom of heaven, the dominion, the rulership over this world. I actually want to go down further into this chapter, right? Let's go to verse 35. Give more context on what it means to have the purpose of your patience. Verse 35. Women received their dead, raised to life again, and others were tortured, not accepting deliverance, that they may obtain a better resurrection. When you read the account in 2 Maccabees, the seventh chapter, these were the men that were tortured. That's how you, and it's another cut for, the Apocrypha is not validation or not validated in any way. But anyways, it says women received their dead again, raised to life. These men, they understood that there was a purpose for the patience of the suffering that they were enduring at that time, that they may obtain a better resurrection. So they knew that it was a purpose for what they was doing. And, they had to take it cheerfully, like it says in Sirach, the 2nd chapter. And others had trial of cruel mockings and scourgings, yea, moreover, in bonds and imprisonment, right? And it says they were sown asunder, tempted, and were slain with the sword. They wandered about in sheepskins and goatskins, being destitute, meaning poor, afflicted, and tormented. Reading on, verse 38. of whom the world was not worthy. They wandered in deserts and in mountains and dens and caves. And this is a point. And all these having not obtained, it's like, and all these having obtained a good report through faith, received not the promise. So they did not receive, the promises of, eternal life, the kingdom, rulership over their enemies, so on and so forth. But nevertheless, they understood there was a purpose to what they was doing, and in doing so, they had patience, and they kept them. It builded their faith continually, because that's actually what Hebrews the 11th chapter is going into. Faith. Without faith, you're nothing. But to have faith, you got to have patience, because you're waiting on it, right? You're hoping for it. You're hoping for certain things to come to pass. You're hoping to see certain prophecies come to pass in your lifetime. But you to overcome certain things of this flesh, so you may die daily, make your body a living sacrifice, wake up thy people on the highways and byways, right? So let's go to and it's like I use verse 35 with the severed brother, because they being in front of King Antiochus, guess what? It's like they could have just easily gave up. Be like, you know what? I'll take the pork. I'll take. I'll enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. It's life is short, right? It doesn't matter. But nevertheless, they understood the purpose of what they was doing, and they obtained what? They obtained a good report, and that's what we're trying to do in these last days. We're trying to obtain we're trying to obtain a good report with our name, and how so? Through faith, through faith, and that's what we got to be like in these last days. So let's get another account real quick. Genesis, what is it? 39. Let's start at verse. This whole account is really fire. I was looking over this, so much too, but this is the book of Genesis, chapter 39, and verse number 21. It says, "But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy and gave him favors like it in the keeper of the prison." And when you read the account of Joseph, starting in verse 39, when he went into Egypt, Pharaoh had made Joseph just an overseer, and then guess what? He elevated through the ranks later on. So, like, what was I about to go to next? I'm gonna just stay here, because if I wanted to cover the account honestly to show the purpose of Joseph's faith and the things that he had to overcome, the afflictions that he endured, but nevertheless, actually no. Give me 1 second. Where is that? Actually, no. This is it. Next verse, I think. There we go. Now I remember. It's the book of Genesis 39:22. "And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison. And so whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it." Because Joseph was falsely accused of, sleeping with Pharaoh's wife, doing things that, obviously he did not do in the book of Genesis 39th chapter when you read the account. But nevertheless, even in his low estate, Joseph took those things cheerfully, and he was sold, his brethren had sold him, his brothers, they had sold him, and it was like, that's out of jealousy and hatred, envy, but nevertheless, even through all this, the Most High had what? He had mercy on Joseph. He found favor inside of the Most High, right? Let's go to the next verse after that. Slack it for that pause. Verse 23. "The keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him. And that which he did, the Lord made to prosper." Meaning, no matter what type of state that Joseph was in, no matter what he was accused of, no matter what was thrown his way, even if it was wrongfully, he was getting tried in the fire. And the Most High had mercy upon him through all these things, through all these adversities, through all these trials, through all these temptations. Because, being in Egypt, one can only wonder how much wickedness and idolatry he had seen at that time. Nevertheless, he endured. He was able to overcome. He understood the purpose of his patience, and he kept it until the end. So let's go to the book of Psalms, and you could read, of course, these accounts on your own. Mighty accounts, actually, especially Joseph. I want to say, was it? Yeah, Psalms 37. Book of Psalms 37 and verse 7. Let's find out what it means to have more patience in these things, and what's the purpose of it. It said, "Rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Fret not thyself," meaning don't worry. because of him who prosper in his way, meaning those that are, committing sins and wickedness on a daily basis. David talks about that Psalm 73rd chapter. Because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass, because there's a lot of evil in this world that goes on day to day, day in, day out, every hour on the hour. So cease from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil. Meaning, compose yourself, have a little patience, because there's a purpose in this thing, right? Verse 9, it says, for evildoers shall be cut off, but those that wait upon the Lord, they shall inherit the earth. And that's the purpose of this thing. When you're not doing, what the Most High wants you to do, there's going to be chastisement that comes upon you. There's going to be heavy afflictions that come upon you. And God forbid, you could lose your life. But you don't want to be in that. You don't want to be in that realm that the Most High deems you to be one of those individuals. So that means you got to change and repent. But for those who do this regularly, who don't even give a damn about the Most High's laws, statutes, commandments, nor the sacrifice of Yahushua, it says for evildoers should be cut off. But those that wait upon the Lord, they shall inherit the earth. It says, yet for a little while, and the wicked shall not be. Thou shalt diligently consider his place, and it shall not be. Meaning, worry about what you're supposed to do in regards to, keeping the commandments, keeping the faith in Yahushua, doing the work of the Lord week in and week out, making your body a living sacrifice, right? Keeping your flesh under subjection, so on and so forth, right? It says, but the meek shall inherit the earth and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. And that's what you got to do at the end of the day. You got to remain humble through all these things, because sometimes, you can get ahead of yourself and you don't want to get too puffed up and too prideful, because, hey, pride goes before destruction, right? Let's go to the book of Proverbs real quick. Got a quick precept on that. Proverbs. So this is the purpose of your patience at the end of the day. And, don't forsake your own inheritance. Don't forsake, what you've been promised, what you've been given, It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 28 and verse 26. He that trusteth in his own heart is a fool, but whoso walketh wisely shall be delivered. And that's what many, it's that, hey, it don't tell you even in Ecclesiastes 10 and verse 6 that folly is set in great dignity, but the rich sit in a low place. And that's talking about the conditions, and what's going on around us today in the world. A lot of people, they're honestly just fools. They're foolish. What's that precept? Forsake the foolish and live. As a matter of fact, I ain't gonna lie. I know a lot of precepts. Sake. I actually want to get that. Just a quick precept through the spirit. Forsake the foolish and live. See that? Proverbs 9 and 6 says, forsake the foolish and live, and go in a way of understanding. And what is that understanding? Keeping the commandments, having that patience, and understanding the purpose of it. Say, he that trusteth in his whole heart is a fool, but whoso walketh wisely, he shall be delivered. And that's the most important thing, understanding that, what, I don't have all the answers. I don't know what's going to become of me in this situation. I'm actually honestly, spiritually on fire right now. But you know what? Let me put my faith and my trust in the Lord and actually have patience through this thing, because there's a purpose to all this, all the work that you're doing, all your fasting, all your praying, all your studying, all your reading, everything that you're doing day in and day out. It says, whoso walketh wisely. To walk wisely is to what? To keep the commandments and to put your faith in Yahweh Shem Yahushua. It says, he shall be delivered. Many people don't understand, man, when you read these scriptures, how deep they really are. And I want to do a lesson on that another time. Let's go to the book of Matthew. Let's read about Yahushua and the purpose of his patience, right? Let's go to 4, verse 1. So let's read this account real quick. This is something I want to grab out of this. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 4, and verse 1. Then when Yahushua led up the spirit in the wilderness to be tempted of the devil, right? Verse 2. And we has fasted 40 days and 40 nights. He was afterward a hunger. Verse 3. And when the tempter came to him, he said, if thou be the Son of God, command that these stones be made bread. And you got to think, when you getting tempted through certain things, it's like, especially in this situation, Satan came to tempt him. What? Why? Because he was fasting 40 days and 40 nights. And he was trying to reach a particular goal spiritually, and that might be you as well. Yahushua, he had to die for the nation of Israel. The perfect sacrifice. But what if he just said, you know what? Let me just make these. Let me just eat this bread real quick. Let me just take a bite. It has been 40 days. Nevertheless, it says when the Satan came to him, they'll be the Son of God. Command these stones be made bread. But he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. Meaning, it's you got to be spiritual in this thing. It says, he answered and said, it is written, meaning you already know this. Man should not live by bread alone. And I mean, that's facts for us as well. We got to have patience in these things to what? To continually eat the whole road daily, instead of just giving ourselves over to diverse lust, temptations, and, the pleasures of the flesh, right? And there's an ultimate goal, ultimate point I'm going to make in reading this. I just want to just read a little bit and point out a few things. So then the devil taking him up into a holy city and set of him on the pinnacle of a temple, because he's about to show him something. And he said, if thou be the Son of God, cast thyself down, for it is written, he shall give his angels charge over thee, and in their hands they shall bear thee up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against the stone. Now the devil, you got Satan over here trying to tempt Yahweh's pride. Like, you know what? You the Son of God, right? Fall down from this cliff. Do it. Don't the scripture say this, right? And Yahweh said unto him, it is written, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. That's Deuteronomy 6:16, I believe. Right? It says, and again, verse 8, the devil take him up into an exceeding high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them. Right now he's showing him the riches. Now he's showing him the delicacies in the world, And he said unto him, all these things will I give thee if thou fall down and worship me. And hey, man, you got that out here every single day. Satan is just, this whole world is full of darkness, gross darkness. Satan just waiting for you. I said willing, waiting for you to give yourself over unto him, right? Verse 10. Then Yahweh shall say unto him, get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve. So, Most High, I said, Most High Yahweh, he said, you're not really, you ain't really saying that yet. Then they said what? The devil leaveth him, and behold, angels came and ministered unto him. Now, what was the whole point in reading that? Throughout Yahweh's temptations, he got tempted with what? With fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. He got tempted with the lust of the flesh, meaning he was going to get that bread, the lust of the eyes, meaning, what was it? When Satan had showed him all the riches and delicacies of the world, and then what? The pride of life. I thought you was the Son of God. Jump off this mountain. I know the angels can come save you. Do it. But once again, Yahweh was not tempted by these little temptations. He had patience to endure, to overcome, and it was nothing that really phased him. First John, let's actually go to it, because that was the whole point of why I brought out this account. Yahweh had patience, man. He had faith. Faith without measure, as a matter of fact. So how much must we be in these last days? Right? Verse 15 says, love, 1 John 2:15, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. Right? Verse 16, for all that is in the world, and that's the thing, even when Yahweh was getting tempted, of course he had that patience. But what did he get tempted with? He got tempted with the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, what he could have been, what he could have had, just on a carnal level. And then, of course, the pride of life. You the Son of Man, right? You got power, right? All right, jump off this mountain. I bet you can't prove it. But the thing is, that didn't phase him. And it's what the scripture says, that it's not of the Father, but it's of the world. So these carnal things, they didn't even affect Yahweh. And if we must walk how he walked, like it says in 1 Peter 2:21, 1 John 2:3-6, then that means it shouldn't be facing us either. So that means we got to have patience in these things. And there's a purpose to the things that we're doing. And what was ultimately Yahweh's ultimate purpose? He died for his nation. And then guess what? He sat at the right hand of the Father. So let's go to James, right? Almost done. James chapter 1. starting at verse 2. It says, "My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations." I mean, sometimes you got to count it joy. It's like, man, yeah, I'm dealing with this again. I'm going through this again. Man, I thought I got over this spirit. I got over this demon, but this is what I'm dealing with. I see. It says, "My brother, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations." You got to be happy through these things. It tells you that the apostles, they laughed. They were laughing when they got beaten in scores, right? It says, verse 3, "Knowing this, that the tribe of your faith worketh patience." And that's why I said at the beginning of this video, you can't have faith without patience, or one without the other. You can't have faith without, or you can't have patience without endurance, because you got to have patience to go through these things, right? Verse 4, "But let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing." And for you, hey, it says, "But have patience, have a perfect work." And that is the perfect work, to actually have the patience to endure, to actually have the patience to overcome. And the purpose of it, to get stronger through the spirit, spiritually, in wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, that you may teach your people and consider those that seek knowledge and learning, right? And that's it on that. You gotta get counted for joy when you do these things, right? Actually, let's actually see the outcome of what's gonna happen to those who actually have patience. Because there's a purpose for all these things at the end of the day. Don't for God is not unrighteous, Hebrews 6:10, to forget your works or labor of love that you have showed in His name. So we should never forget that in regards to our patience in this truth, in this walk. Out here walking in this evil, in this wicked world. Because a lot of people out here who are not in the truth, who do not understand the commandments, who don't keep the commandments, who don't care to learn about the commandments nor the Most High God, who tell you they believe in God, but they don't do nothing that He says. You gotta have patience to go through these things, because it's definitely always gonna try you time and time and time again. And even when you get used to it, there's certain things that, hey, they never cease to amaze you, right? It's the book of Revelation, chapter 14, verse 12. And this is the outcome. This is the reward of you and your patience. It says, "Here is the patience of the saints." And we know that the saints obviously is Israel. A lot of people are always going to say saints are just anybody. Well, the Bible just finds itself. Psalms 50:5, Psalms 148:14. "Here is the patience of the saints." Yasha Allah. "Here are they that keep the commandments of the Most High in the faith of Yahweh Shai." So ultimately, there's always there's always going to be an ultimate goal that you want to reach, and that is obviously what you want to be in 144,000, or the 1/3 that's going to be saved, right? But for you to do that, you got to have that patience. You got to endure to the end and make it calling and election sure, right? And it says, "Here's the patience of the saints." You got to keep these things, man. Hold fast. Watch. So let me get my closing precept real quick. So I ain't want to make no super deep lesson. I kind of just want a few things that Lord willing, brothers and sisters can meditate on. Book of Luke, chapter 19 and verse number 21. And some of you, I wish I said. Actually, it's 21 and 19. Wow, that's crazy. But it's my closing precept. Lord willing, brothers and sisters, been edified by this video, right? And it's something that we all need to meditate on in regards to this truth, this walk, endurance. It says Luke 21 and 19, "And your patience possess your souls." And that's something I just wanted to leave brothers and sisters with, because it takes a lot of patience, to endure particular trials, adversities that you're dealing with, in whatever form or fashions they come. But you got to have patience in these things, and there's a purpose for it. And in doing so, you'll be building your faith. Because what did Yahweh say? And I want to say Luke. Actually, let me see this real quick. I want to say Luke. Shall I find faith on the earth? It's in the book of Luke. I just can't remember the precept at the moment. I know I didn't want to keep you brothers too long, but even the apostles asked, you can look at that precept for yourself. Shall I find faith on the earth? I know it's in the book of Luke. I just can't remember the exact precept at this point. I want to say, there you go, Luke chapter 18 and verse 8. Yahweh Shai is looking for the faith on the earth in these last days. Even the apostles asked in Luke chapter 17 and verse 5, he said, "Lord, increase our faith." And that's what we all must do in these last days, because, without faith, we cannot please the Most High. What's that? Hebrews 11 and 6, if I'm not mistaken. So, Lord willing, you brothers and sisters have been edified by this topic. Lord willing, I can continue to make more lessons in this manner. I want to be able to bring out more about certain things, smaller lessons in the scriptures, um, in regards to building your faith, um, you know, dealing with depression, anxiety, just small things our brothers and sisters can meditate on, Lord willing. So, we got to have more faith in these last days, more patience in these last days, that we can overcome and endure all the temptations and wiles of Satan. Because, hey, it's wild out here, man. So, we all have to look out for one another, and we do so by edifying the nation. So, Lord, Abarat Israel, you've been edified. Um, Lord, when can continue to do these videos. Um, so, I think that's it. I got all my stuff in regards to what I want to bring out. Lord willing, you brothers and sisters have patience and continue to endure the rent. So, call me a Shalom. Shalom.